Welcome to the Doug Show Live, and we are in a different location. So it's going to be harder for me to look down and look up at the same time. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear that weed eater that's running right outside my window here. It seems like the sound's working. Let me try and mute. Boom. All right. So today we just have a few things that we have going on. Couple of announcements. So I do want to let you know about that stuff. And I'm going to try to remember to look up at the camera so you can see me even though my notes are down here. So I appreciate the patience with that, of course. And we have special guests here today. If people want to name them, including the last names, that's always appreciated. This is a nice cutout stand up. I mean, it looks great here. And in fact, the way the lighting comes in this specific room actually looks pretty good. I kind of like this layout. All right. Helen says all loud and clear. Fantastic. Fantastic. So it's nice to be able to bring my camera and actually hook it up, have a nice setup, even if it's like a travel rig, and it still looks like pretty awesome. Like I said, this specific room turns out to do really well for live streams just like this. So a couple of the things that we will talk about. Oh, and Tiff is on as well. Excellent, excellent. Let me get some of my notes, which is just the description. So all the links that I'm going to talk about are in the description. I'm going to answer some questions today, of course. So if you have questions, ask in the chat. I will refer you to Niche Site Project in general. So if you go to nichesiteproject.com, you can sign up for the email list, get all my templates and that sort of thing. Additionally, you can go to the FAQ page. So oftentimes I will answer your question here, sometimes just the most basic answer that I can give, and then I'll refer you to the FAQ page, nichesiteproject.com/FAQ, because I've gone a lot more in depth in a few areas like that. So we got David on too. Everything is loud and clear. Excellent. Mike is on also. So I'll mention it a few times, but I also want to just make sure I get it out quickly. There's a meetup in the Atlanta area on Sunday. It's going to be very hot and humid. It's going to be outside. So I had, obviously, I mean, I'm making it up as I go along, but I had the opportunity to potentially, try to hold it in a restaurant or some other indoor gathering, but I really don't want to be indoors with a whole bunch of people, just in general. So we're going to do it outside. It's going to be hot and it is oppressively humid. I forgot what it was like. I mean, I used to, cut grass in the middle of the summer, just like days like today where it's sunny. I don't know what the humidity is, but it feels terrible. It feels terrible out there. But I mean, once you get sweaty and you get used to it, you're good to go. Anyway, it's going to be in a park outside. Shout out to Bill. I'm not sure if you're watching this, Bill, but Bill lives in the area that it's going to be, which is around like the 575 area in Cobb. There's a link in the description, nichesiteproject.com/ATL-AUG, AUG2, right? So the link is in the description. There's a RSVP form right there, and I'm going to put the exact information probably once we finish this live stream. I will update the information, lock down the name of the park. I think it's Skip something or other. Skip. I totally spaced on the second half. But anyway, there's a park over there. We're just going to hang out, bring a mask, bring a camp chair, and we'll just sort of mingle around and chat. So last time we went to a restaurant, we had drinks, bought everybody lunch, had a little bit more of a structure, but it's not going to be that way. This is going to be as long as we can hold out, probably for an hour or so, hour or two outside, and then we'll probably move on. So anyway, there's a meetup in Atlanta. Go check it out. Another thing I want to point out for everyone is I created a survey, a form. It's just a Google form. I want to hear about people's experiences. Basically, like if you feel stuck with your site. So I sent it out in the email this morning. And I think there's a handful of people that have replied already. But basically, whether you are starting a site from scratch, whether you purchased one, maybe you bought a done-for-you site, maybe you've had a site that grew pretty quick at first and now you're sort of stagnant, but like if you feel stuck in any fashion, I'm curious where you feel stuck and what you've tried already. So you can share sort of in depth if you want to. There's some multiple choice questions just to get an idea where you're at in a few areas like traffic and how long you've been working on your site. And then you can tell a long story if you want to. All right. Bo says, aloha, you made almost 400 in Amazon Associates earnings just yesterday. So it should be your first 3K month. Awesome, Bo. Please send me an email. Would love to hear more about your story. Maybe bring you on the show, do an interview. Formulaic, what's going on? And Armand says, can you ask questions now or later? Feel free to ask now. I may answer it right away or hold on for a little while before I get to it. And a couple things. So this is one thing I just need help on. So I know there's some people that like dogs, right? Maybe you're a vet even. So we're in this other area, right? So we're in Atlanta instead of Colorado. And basically, I've been walking Georgie around here, our border collie, and there's a lot of squirrels who are not used to having dogs chase them. So Georgie has some nice fun chases, and basically she doesn't realize that she should stop gradually. Instead, she basically like digs her claws in, and she broke a claw, but it's more like a crack and sort of bent. So it bled a little bit, but it's still attached. And she's done this before, right? This is a ongoing problem. It was probably a little too long, but she's actually done this with a very short claw just because the way she stops. The whole point is it sort of bent and broke. It's a little bloody. And the last time this happened, I was really sort of nervous and I was like, oh, should I try and cut it off? Like maybe I can just let it fall off on its own, which that's what we did. It fell off on its own within 36 hours. It was pretty quick. It didn't continue to bleed and it just fell off. This one's attached a little bit more and it doesn't seem like it's going to fall off on its own. It might, but we're afraid it's going to keep growing there. So the point is, if anyone has any tips on what to do, let us know. Because like I said, we may try to let it grow and just cut it, but I think it may end up being more of an issue. And the other thing is one of my friends, his wife here in Atlanta is a vet. And I think she actually has a mobile vet van, like a come to you sort of thing. We're going to be on that side of town soon. So that could be a route. And I haven't seen them in a few years. So it could be a way to get some help. So, hey, Tony, what's going on? Good to see you. Feel free to say hello. And pardon me, everyone, because we don't have the normal setup. I'm going to be looking down, but I'll look back up when I'm not reading. So, Tony, good to see you. Masher, what's up? Armand says, Amazon One Link doesn't work for all products. Because of that, we lose many commissions. I tried Genius Link too, but it still works the same. Any solution for that? Just move on. Say, fuck it. It doesn't matter. So if you can't solve the problem with those two things, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. My hunch, Armand, is it's a fraction of your money, right? It's just a small amount. You're better off trying to aim higher and do make a bigger difference, taking action, making a bigger difference versus like trying to get like 1% more. So you tried two things. It didn't work. I would just move on. If you find that if it's a bigger issue than that, you can find what countries are the most trafficked where you're missing out. And then basically, hey, Georgie, where'd you come from? Huh. Yeah, Georgie came to join me here with a broken toenail. So whatever country is giving you an issue, you can actually put two links and just say, hey, Canada, go here, US, go here, UK, go here, whatever. So you can create a specific link if you are actually, because obviously painting with a broad brush. Most of the time it's a fraction, but let's say you get 60% of your traffic from the UK. Well, obviously that's a big deal. So then you would patch the hole with however you need to do it. All right, we have Probhat. What's going on? Into Fly Fishing says you love the KGR. Do I still believe in starting an Amazon niche site? Yeah, I do. I think Amazon is probably the best way to monetize initially for like the broadest group of people. But let's say you have a fly fishing site and you have better affiliate programs with specific companies. That makes sense, right? I think with fly fishing, it's so specialized that people may want to purchase from a specialized shop versus just Amazon, where maybe the stuff isn't as good, or maybe the customer service isn't as good. If they have a problem, there's not really anyone you could turn to with Amazon. Vince, what's going on? Good to see you. All right. And then we have Ahrefs says Google isn't indexing my post for the last 5 months. I tried to request indexing and you saw the post get indexed after that, but the very next day they're not manually found in Google. Okay. If you mentioned the last 5 months. How old is your site? A lot of times this will happen when sites are still in the sandbox. Additionally, usually after the sandbox period, after 6 months, usually things sort of shape up on their own. You'll find your content indexed, but I would say, make sure the quality of your content is good. Make sure the grammar is good. I can't emphasize that enough. I'll come back to it in a second. And then if you get a handful of backlinks, you don't have to have that many, but create social profiles. Do a handful of blog commenting so you have, maybe 10 or 20 referring domains. They don't have to be do follow. Just make sure you have some links pointing to your site. Deb Das says, hope you're doing fine. Should I worry about my spam score? No. I bought a new domain and it didn't create any backlinks, but it's showing an 18% spam score. Okay, full disclosure on this. I never check the spam score. Is that a Moz metric? And I've seen a couple questions. People were like, should I get a backlink because or from a specific site if the spam score is over some threshold? And I don't know. I don't know what information they're using, but I would verify, right? If it makes sense, right? If you go look and you see there's a bunch of shitty backlinks, then maybe skip it. But if you're saying you didn't create any backlinks and it's showing an 18% spam score, check to see if you have crappy backlinks. And I was going to say that backlinks, there's a lot of spammers out there that do, I don't know what they do, but they're creating a bunch of links to different sites. And sometimes those can push up the spam score, even though there's not really any spammy links that you're creating. There's spammy links that are showing up. So I wouldn't really worry about it. And I have never checked the spam score, so I can't comment really. Vince says, how many posts would I need on a niche site? At a minimum, I would say you want to have launch with about 10. If you want to keep growing it, you can grow it as big as you want it to be. So you can have 25 posts and let it be at that point, or you can put a lot more. Mike says, I want to use a domain that I used to host on my server years ago, but the owner let it go and it expired. It was e-commerce, but I can convert it to a review type site, niche site. Sure, you can do that. Okay. Yeah, you could do that. It's great if there's links going to it. Like that's sort of the power of using an expired domain. And I wouldn't do it if it was like outside of the niche, if it's the same industry, if the backlinks that are pointing to that site are relevant, then that's a good thing to do. All right. And let me take a quick look. Someone asked a question, but for some reason it is not. It's marked as spam, but let me see if there's anything funny going on with it. No. All right. Someone says they're planning on starting a food blog. Cool. Someone also asks, hold on, my chat moved around here. So how do you find niche relevant backlinks and how to increase my traffic for more sales? Okay. I do struggle with these kind of questions because essentially there's like full courses for every single one of those questions that you asked. And how do you find relevant backlinks? Basically, and how do you build them? Yeah, there's literally whole courses. So I'm just going to tell you one way. And then I encourage you, there's playlists. There's probably a few hours of content on this channel where you can go look to see what to do. But basically, if you know what, I'll tell a different one. I was going to say, go blog comment, try to guest post on people's sites, but I'll give you a different one. So try to be on podcast. Go reach out to people that have podcasts in the industry and then see if you could be a guest on their podcast. You'll get a backlink, most likely. Potentially you can get multiple backlinks to your site. It'll be relevant and potentially you would get traffic, just referral, but it could also improve your rankings. Ash says, domains that has a lot of outbound links, is it safe to get backlinks from those? And what do you say about purchasing links from news or multi-niche sites? Okay, number one, if sites have a lot of outbound links, that is totally fine. There's no issue with a site that has outbound links. If they are selling links and they have a poor backlink profile, and they're linking out to a bunch of crappy sites, that's bad. I wouldn't get a site from there. But just inherently, there's no issue with a site with outbound links. No issue with that at all. Next, purchasing links from news or multi-niche sites. You have to be cautious when you're purchasing links. Number one, Google doesn't like that. And if you get busted for that, you can get a manual penalty. So that's an issue. The second part is kind of reflecting back to your initial question. If you purchase links from a site, regardless of what kind it is, probably they're selling links to a bunch of other people. So if they're selling links to a bunch of other people, then you may have a site where it's a crappy place to get a link from. So if that's the case, if you can tell most of them are purchased, I would probably steer clear. All right. Atisham says, my site is making $250 per month and 150 users per day. My site is ranked on on-page SEO. I don't know how to do off-page SEO. Guide me on off-page SEO. So I think that was perhaps the initial question, but basically get backlinks that are relevant. Abhishek, what's going on? The rule of 72 says, great interview with Christy. I was particularly interested how she acquired a site and added that content. It would be great to hear more about the strategy. Cool. We may do a full on, show or analysis on that. But generally, she knew someone in the industry who had a blog, and through the networking that I'm talking about, right? So I talk all the time, comment on the blogs, connect with the people in your niche that have other blogs, if they're YouTubers or podcasters or whatever, Instagram, like make friends, they know each other, right? So through your network, you may be able to find a site that's been around. Maybe the person has thought about selling it, maybe they haven't, but you're able to connect with those folks and then see like, hey, I could actually take this content and apply like SEO, like Tisham said, I'm ranking with on-page SEO. I'm not doing any off-page SEO. So if you see a site where they've done no SEO, they don't know what they're doing, it's just a hobby blog. If you buy it and then you apply SEO to whatever content they have, you potentially, like, all of a sudden can just get like whatever 100 articles quickly. The quick description of what to do is you can 301 redirect each of the old URLs to a new URL on your site. And that way the link juice passes, generally the rankings follow along, and Christy in this case will own that other domain, which will go away. It will sort of be absorbed into her site. And there's a couple ways to tackle it now that I'm talking about it. So if you have those individual pages, you can point those to the individual new pages, right, for that specific URL. And the home page would just be another one of those URLs. So you could send it over to her homepage. I don't think that other site in this case really had any backlinks. Maybe it did, I have no idea. But that way you're mapping specific backlinks to the specific page that it applies to, I guess. Formulaic says, in the spirit of sharing helpful info, I redesigned my main site, changed the nav structure, traffic dropped from 700 sessions a day to 200. Links to articles didn't change. Interesting. That did all you change was the navigation structure, or did you change like the architecture of the site as well? Did you just change the menu, or did you change like the full architecture? So depending on what you did, I'd be either surprised or not surprised. Armand says, how do you know if you get a penalty from Google? And is it possible to get out of it? Yeah, you can generally almost always get out of a penalty. Not like, unless you do something crazy, generally you should be able to rework things and get out of a penalty. It depends on what you've done though. So I guess I'll take that back. How will you know? You'll get an email. It says you get a manual penalty. So you should be using the Search Console. Web Money School, what's going on? It says you're a big fan and the KGR is a lifeblood. So it's great to be here. Awesome, Web Money. Do you have firsthand experience? Actually, yeah, anyone, if you've had good experience with the KGR, feel free to share your story and shoot me an email, right? Doug@nichesiteproject.com. I do like to get those, and I do perhaps a poor job sharing the stories, but a lot of times in the podcast, that is where I share. By the way, if you want to help me out, there's a couple things you can do. One, subscribe to the podcast. I know it's on YouTube and it's about 6 months off the schedule. So I'm working on rectifying that and switching it up. However, I'm not sure the full like repercussions of all of that, but basically go to your podcast directory of choice or your podcast player of choice, however you listen to them, and subscribe to the show. Download all the episodes. I'm actually curious if people, I've seen this a couple times where I think maybe someone found the show and then they downloaded like all 160 episodes or whatever. So I'll see like a spike and I'm like, oh wow, did I get someone sharing it or whatever? And it's probably like one person that just downloaded all of them. So on that particular day, it sort of skews everything. So anyway, if you want to help out, that's number one. Subscribe to the podcast on your podcast player and listen to it, right? So if you just subscribe, then it doesn't matter. But I want to see like continuous downloads. But even better, if you tell a friend about it so they listen to the podcast, that is very good. The other thing, you guys don't let me forget, I'll tell you, I'm testing a couple things on the YouTube side too. Very interesting, or at least to me, because I haven't done it before. Fly Fishing says, how much time do you spend creating new content versus updating old content? So I don't know exactly, but I would say I probably spend 70% on new content versus updating old. But up until maybe a year ago, I probably spent 95% on new content and not updating old. But as I am learning more each day, updating old content is a great thing to do. And I really saw the power of that with some of the work I did with Content Refined, where they went back, updated some old posts, optimized it, and then traffic went through the roof for those posts. Ash says, extremely helpful. Great. Zachariah says, what plugin do I use to make call to action buttons? And do I do no follow tags? So I don't use a plugin for call to action buttons. The theme that I use, which should be linked in here, there's two themes that I'll plug. So one of them is Focus, the Focus WordPress theme. Love that love that theme. I use it on Niche Site Project and a couple other sites, and I've used Thesis from the beginning, so I've become like more and more proficient. Chris Pearson, the creator, is awesome. I've interviewed him on this channel. We actually went to the same college at the same time, though we did not know each other. And Chris does a great job with like support, and it's a fantastic sort of Focus is a great skin to lay on top of the framework of Thesis. So a lot of themes have that sort of idea where you have like the base theme and then something will lay on top to sort of give it its look and feel like a skin. So anyway, that theme has buttons built in. So you could just type in, like, create your link. So click here, you turn it into a link, and then you can go into the HTML, the text in WordPress, and just do class equals button. And then it's a button. That's it. It's a link, and the CSS is all built in. Carbonate, another theme that I like a lot. If you're more technical, you have to actually get into the code when you're configuring it, but it's a very fast theme, Carbonate, and same deal. Instead of a button class, it's a BTN, right? So BTN is the class. It's super easy, and you don't have to mess around with a plugin. It's just built in. So next, do I no follow Amazon affiliate links? No, I don't. Master says, my KGR articles are doing great on a brand new site. Good to hear. Already on page 1 for some of the articles in under a month. We'll keep you posted on the progress. Fantastic. Fly Fishing says, on my other sites, we've seen increases of 50% or more on updating old ranking content. Was wondering if others had seen the same. Good to know. Yeah, it's pretty dramatic, especially if you use a tool like Page Optimizer Pro, which I've been using more and more. And basically, if you have that data, you can go make a handful of changes fairly quickly. And you really have the fuel to like go up in the rankings, pull in more long tails, and it works out great. All right. So I talked about the meetup. So quick note, if people join late, there's a meetup on Sunday. There's a link in the description so you can get information. Please RSVP ahead of time. I encourage people to bring their own like camp chair. Shout out to Bill for scoping out the area. And if you follow the link, you'll be able to like get all the information. I haven't put in the exact location yet, but it'll be 2 p.m. Eastern time in the sort of Cobb area. Okay, Mike says, you're finding the all entitled gives you inaccurate results. Any way to get most accurate? So what's happening, Mike? Why do you think it's inaccurate? I have heard from a lot of people that if you check multiple times, it will give you different answers. And I don't know how you know it's accurate or inaccurate, because we only know what Google tells us. Typically, I just take the first answer that Google tells me and I just move on. And the way to get the sort of, I don't know if it's the most accurate, the way to get the best information is to make sure you're using an IP address from the country that you need to get the data from. So if you're out of the US, then use a VPN. So you have a US based IP address, and then you could check. I have heard if you like go across town. So if I checked here, then I went to a coffee shop and checked somewhere else, I may get different results. But to be honest, I never double check. What Money School says you're at 4,000 page views per month and you're getting $8 to $9 RPM. Should I check out different ad networks? I don't know. It depends on what you're trying to do. I usually spend most of my time on the affiliate side, but depending on your site and that sort of thing, then yeah. Okay, Mike, I got you now. So page 1 gives you some number of results, but the last page gives you a different number. Use the first page. I've literally never clicked to the last page. It's interesting when you hear, I have released, for years the keyword golden ratio. And it's pretty fucking specific instructions, but I'm deep into it, right? And I've been doing it for a while. So I just do, my method, and I don't really, I'm not paying too much attention, but it's super interesting to hear, people mention, if I go all the way through, it shows something different. What about omitted results? Should I consider the omitted results to really be sure? And I've never checked any of those. It's just, I just move on quick and never think about it again. So I would just look on the front page. You don't need to know what's on the last page. Also funny, I was reading through some comments on YouTube yesterday, and someone said, you have to use the results on the last page because they're more accurate. But I don't know why they said that. For some reason, they said something about Google caching the results or something like that. But I think they were just making it up. I have no clue why they thought that. It's really funny also because luckily the good folks here, all you 31 people that are listening and watching, you're like, hey, the KGR has been doing well. Actually, there's 6 people that said, hey, KGR is doing good. And there's another set of people who are like, I tried it and it doesn't work. In fact, I saw a comment on the main KGR, the OG, the original KGR video that I published out there. And someone said, here is my real case study. And I published 40 KGR articles. They ranked on page 3 and then they dropped. And they were like, it doesn't work. I tested it. This is a real results. I don't care. This is just a random strategy, and it's like any other random strategy. It's probably not going to work. But the problem was, the grammar sucked, right? The person had a shitty grasp of English, basically. So they were like, hey, it doesn't work. And it was all, missing words, extra words in there, missing punctuation. The grammar was off. I could see what they were trying to say. So my hunch is they wrote the content themselves and it's bad. It's very bad. So perhaps if it wasn't terrible, then it would rank better. And I see this all the time. People are like, hey, I have top-notch content. I wrote it myself. It's fantastic. But it's clear they're not either a native English speaker if they're targeting the English language or whatever language they're aiming for. Typically, it's that. Typically, they don't speak English or they can't write English in a sort of legible way. So you end up, basically someone would click on their site. Let's say they did rank on page 1 for a couple of days. People would click on their site. They would bounce because it looks like nonsense. And then it doesn't work. Well, it turns out it doesn't matter if they use KGR or something else. If it's illegible or it is really poor quality, it's not going to rank well. So anyway, I wrote that in the comment and hopefully they took it for what it was and they need to get someone to fucking edit their work for them. But their comments basically, answered my question. It's like, hey, did you write it yourself? And did you proofread it? Because this comment makes no sense. All right, Formulaic says, KGR works for me and it has been for years. Hey, Amelia, what's up? Dropping in. She says you haven't had a chance to get over. You love the background. Thanks. Yeah, I'm at my childhood home and we had this thing around. My wife used it in her background for like a work call recently. Um, yeah, it's a good layout over here. The lighting's good. There's a window right here, and I brought my good camera. So, all right, yeah, Amelia, we should catch up soon. I've been super busy with various things, but I'm hopefully going to catch up once I get back home. Tony says one 1400 KGR article has received 894 views in the last 30 days and earned $61 on Amazon. The site only has 2 articles on it with 0 backlinks. So there you go. Tony, yeah, Tony, an actual writer, very good writer, fantastic. Yeah, it works if you do a good job. Web Bunny says, well, semantic search is also to be taken into account. I'm a KGR success story. However, some KGR articles don't perform as well as others. And yep, exactly. Some do better and some do worse. And everyone should check out Amelia's channel over there. I did a nice interview with her a little while back. And she interviewed me too, I think. It's been so long, it feels like a year ago, something like that. But yes, check out her channel. She does cool stuff over there as well. And do I have any other notes? Oh, one thing I'm testing out. Oh, Amelia, you may actually be interested in this. So in the last few days, I've been running some YouTube ads. I've never created a video ad before at all. So I've just been dabbling a little bit and just to see what would happen, to see, hey, can I get more subscribers? That's sort of my goal, to get more subscribers, even though it's generally a vanity metric. But I was like, hey, I'm just going to see what happens because I have not done any ads before. And I have a strong feeling that, some of the people that have been able to grow much faster than I have run ads. So a couple things. One, the sort of tools that are out there, like the AdWords video ads, it's fine, right? There's some mechanics. You could watch I watched 2 YouTube videos and I was like, oh, I see what I'm screwing up. But I'll probably take a couple angles where I, run ads to videos that I know typically will pull in new subscribers. And I have a lot of historical data, so I can see, oh, these 5 videos pull in more subscribers per view than the others. So it's pretty clear. Others are just good topics that I know, hey, that could pull someone in. The other thing that I'm looking at is running ads to people that watch the videos, but they are not subscribed. So people that are familiar with the channel, but maybe they didn't subscribe for whatever reason, which on my channel, it's about 50-50. There may be, it sort of swings, but typically it's right within 50-50. So there's a lot of people that watch the videos that are just not subscribed. Now, the cool thing with YouTube is everyone watches YouTube, so you know this. Even if you're subscribed to a channel, if you're not watching their videos, they are not going to be suggested. They're not going to pop up on your feed. If you start watching a couple of their videos, then you'll see more and more of those pop up in your feed. So there could be a very nice sort of, I don't want to say synergy, but there's a nice thing that happens if you get a couple people, or if you get people to watch a couple of your videos that are, say, related to the keyword golden ratio, and then maybe they watch some of these success stories, and then they're fed some more videos. So a lot of it comes down to remarketing and hitting the right audience. But the other thing is I see that most of the views that I'm getting are like 1 cent per view, but I have no data on how many views I need for a video before someone subscribes. And I'm also having trouble, if anybody knows how to do this, right? I don't have a specific conversion set because I'm trying to get subscribers. However, if I use an ad format that is custom, that doesn't have a specific goal, typically the conversion is supposed to be whether they've subscribed or not. And I can see on my data that I definitely have more subscribers from some of the ads that I've been running. However, no conversions are attributed to any of the ads or the ad groups or any of the campaigns. It's zero. But I can see clearly that I've gotten some subscribers. So anyway, the ads are interesting. When I've done ads in the past over on Facebook, it was in the make money online area. And I got so many comments that were just so negative that I was like, I'm out. I'm not running ads on Facebook, even though I'm leaving money on the table for sure. But I was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm just going to do this slower and more organically. But the thing is, on YouTube, maybe it makes sense depending on what I'm trying to do. Okay. Let's see what we have here in the comments. All right, Anna says, good luck. Awesome, thanks. And Kushal, can you tell about Facebook ads? No. I'm not an expert in Facebook ads, but you can go watch YouTube videos and get a whole masterclass on it. And Amelia, yes, you're right. I wonder how engaged people who come from ads would be and with the retargeting. So I did, one of the ads is 2 subscribers for a specific video. So they're already engaged and they may have not seen that video yet. So I was like, oh, this is a great way to sort of boost views to a video that I just published, which is kind of cool. The other thing that I see is, yeah, I got a ton of views for a specific ad to like sort of the general population, but the view time was like 25% of what a normal viewer would have. So they're clearly the leaf blowers going right by here. So some of the people from the ads are like really not engaged. So then you have to rely on hooking them with your charming personality. So I need some new videos for that, I think. But with the retargeting stuff, depending on the video, right? So once you get granular, I could say, all right, if someone watched the original KGR video, show them an ad for KGR success stories. So it's like they're already kind of engaged with the channel, and then I know they're engaged with a specific topic of long tail keyword research. So if they get KGR success stories, that could be a great way to hook someone in. And some of those videos are like quick hitters. So obviously I'm just taking videos that I already have and I'm making them, it's a discovery ad. So I'm putting them on, they're not pre-roll ads, right? So it's not a video that starts playing automatically. These will show up in search. The discovery ad will show up in search, or if you're watching a video, it may show up on the sidebar on a desktop or below the video in mobile. All right. Aman says, can I tell some don'ts when starting an Amazon affiliate site? Sure. There's also a full post on this. Go to Niche Site Project, and I think it's like things not to worry about when you're starting your site. I would use a fast theme. I would definitely make sure that you're not using too many plugins, and don't think that you need tools. Someone, actually maybe not in this live stream, but a lot of times people are like, oh, what plugin should I use for X, Y, and Z? And most of the time you don't need any plugin to do any of that stuff. So it's like solving problems that you don't have. And I would say find a plan, like find someone that you trust, try to execute their framework, and don't get too distracted with a bunch of other stuff. If you start trying to implement like 5 different plans, 5 different ways to implement something, you're going to end up sort of frustrated. A lot of things are probably not going to work, and then you're going to not realize that you're implementing the worst parts of each of the systems. And Amelia says you would need for these ads, you would need a good hook in the first few seconds for an ad. Yes, and in the specific one, I published a video about a week ago. I think it was a week and a day ago, right? It's shorter. I actually wrote a script for it, and then I edited it down. It's 9 minutes. I think in hindsight, now that I've watched it a couple extra additional times, I probably could have shaved 1 more minute off of there. And I didn't do an intro. I was like, hey, here's the topic today. And then I started talking about it. And I did an intro after about 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm Doug. Check out the other videos, subscribe. So the downside to that is the call to action is like buried so deep that I'm afraid people didn't get to it. But that was not the intent with that video. That I didn't know I was going to run ads to that video. So in the future, I may do it a little differently. But the good part is I'm hoping it'll rank in search over time. And if it does, then it'll be fine, because hopefully people will hang on for that long. That said, I probably should have had the call to action a little bit sooner, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to test it out to have information as quickly as possible. Abhishek says, what tool to check the volume of keywords? So I like Keywords Everywhere for like a quick tool to use in your browser. And then KWFinder is, I think, the best keyword research tool. It gives you a lot of aggregated data from other places. It's a suite of tools, so I like that one just personally. Any of them are fine. It doesn't really matter which tool you use. Just pick one that you like and use it. And Web Money says, I heard that running ads snippet of a live stream converts incredibly well. Doug.Show 111 in the story of Marcus, the lawyer, really made come back to your channel. Ever thought of running live stream snippets as ads? No, I never have. I have so many of the live stream options out there, but that could be, I guess, does it convert well for subscribers? Is that the idea? Watch when YouTube starts something. Yep. Amelia's bringing up good points. Yeah. If people subscribe but they don't watch when YouTube serves the video, then it could hurt your CTR. Yep. And I'm definitely not the best with that, but in general, I think what I'm going to do is clean up the channel a little bit. So I've had, clips running, which are, some people are like, hey, I love the clips. And other people are like, fuck the clips, get rid of them, I hate them. And then I have the podcast on the channel too. And there's a lot of people who listen to the podcast and then they're like, it's 6 months old. What's going on? And I realized the discrepancy there. So I'm probably going to have a separate podcast channel, and I'm not sure how that's going to impact everything, because fewer people are going to watch it. But the thing is, for the podcast, the click-through rate sucks, and there's only maybe 200 to 300 people that watch those over time, which is a decent number. But at the same time, it's a fraction of like what the other videos should be. The whole point being, I've been talking about this for a while, I was like, hey, I'm going to do videos that are more keyword driven and potentially will bring new people to the channel, because it's just been pretty stagnant, slow growth for the last 6 months. So I'm looking to, get back into it, maybe redo videos that I shot 2 years ago where maybe I didn't have a script and I just kind of talked. You end up repeating yourself. You end up with a longer video than it should be. And most of the time, I think I could probably cut them in half and have a 7-minute video instead of a 14, 15-minute video. Hopefully, I can improve the retention and just generally have people enjoy watching the videos more. And B-roll. So that video I published last week, it probably had, 20 different pieces of B-roll in there, just stock footage, just to like spice it up a little bit. And for me personally, just watching my own video, like with those elements in there, it was way more enjoyable. And I don't watch the videos so often, but that one I watched a lot more. Mike says, is building out an authority site better than building out a niche site? What's the difference? It's marketing and semantics. So depending on who you're talking to, they may tell you something different. So make sure when people are using the term that they define it. Typically, people will say an authority site has more content, but a niche site can also have a lot of content. Really, most of the time, people are talking about a site that has monetization with affiliate links and probably display ads. So in both cases, like, we're just talking about the same thing. So if you think of like Authority Hacker, they're going to talk about authority sites because it's in their brand. I have Niche Site Project. I'm going to talk about niche sites because it's in the brand. So it's really just a branding situation, and it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. However, like I said, make sure people define what it is that they are talking about if they're using either one of those terms. But generally, we're all talking about some content that we're publishing on the web. Armand says, can article spinners work? No, don't do it. Anna says, I'm using a newspaper theme. Should I change it to Astra? Absolutely, or not necessary. I can't answer that question. I'm not really sure. I've never used Astra. I've heard generally good things, like it loads fast. As far as the newspaper theme, then I have no clue because I don't know specifically which one. And if you told me, I wouldn't know because I've never used it. But look at it this way. What problem are you trying to solve? And is it really a problem? And then will the new theme solve the problem? So if you have a problem, if it's a real problem, then maybe. But if you don't have a problem, don't try and fix things that are not an issue. All right. Oh, and Web Money says, Frank Kern calls it intent-based branding. Usually teaches to get leads and customers. It could work to get subs. Oh, Amelia says, did I talk about how the Pubtelligence went? No, I haven't. And Amelia, did you have a thing on there? I think I saw your name. So I did my Pubtelligence presentation yesterday, and because I was traveling and I wouldn't have like my studio and a lot of other things, I actually recorded it ahead of time. So I recorded it, did a short intro, played my clip through ecamm live, and then answered questions. It went great. Initially, the audio was fucked up a little bit, so they couldn't hear the clip when I started to play it. And I think it was the Zoom setting. After I finished up, I was talking to my wife, and she was like, oh, I bet you should have changed the setting here. And I think she's right. I was going into preferences and sound and video. I was looking at ecamm live, but I think Zoom has a check mark where you can play the system audio, and I think that is what I needed to check. But it's not in the preferences. It's like it's in your viewable screen. So I didn't do it right. But Shelby, the MC for my presentation, she was like, can you just play the audio and hold the microphone to the speaker? So I just pointed the microphone right over the speaker, and luckily the audio was really clean. I had mastered it, so it was perfect audio, and then the microphone is good, and it's quiet enough in this room. It's carpeted, and it's a big room, but this microphone won't pick up like external noises, so it went pretty good. How about yours, Amelia? How'd it go? Masher said you saw a survey from another channel where people listen to podcasts, and most of them said on YouTube. So the podcast channel might be a good idea. Cool. Yeah. And I actually set it up, and I have a clips channel too. So I have to figure it out because I was just trying to keep things simple. But as I have taken a step back and I'm like, okay, where do I want to spend time? Like, where do I see, where am I having the most fun? I was like, okay, I maybe need to just like tighten up my video game on YouTube because I am enjoying it, and I do like to shoot video. So it may be something where I'm like, I try to do a little vlog style along with some teaching. Sometimes an over the shoulder like screen share is like the perfect thing to do. However, at the same time, I may be able to mix in some vlogs that are congruent with the branding. So, which I don't even know what the branding is. All right, Chris Gray, what's up? Greetings from Austria. Been watching the videos for a long time. Big fan. Awesome. Thank you for all the support. And Feblog says, thanks for the KGR was able to rank on page 1 with WebMD and other authority sites in the health niche. So the formula works, bro. Awesome. And Chris says, how important is schema markup on my projects? Not important. I don't even pay attention. And, Amelia, you had tech issues too. So Leon got kicked off and it was just you for a little while and it was stressed out. That is perfect. Yeah. And you're mentioning because you do live stream. So I'm also like, I can do this because I've had so many tech issues and the live streams, like you have to sort of multitask a little bit, and it does require the patience from the audience. Everyone was very cool. So, no one got too upset. I think we probably solved it in about 90 seconds or so. It felt like a very long time, but you just have to go with it. And sort of a related, similar sort of note. So I was supposed to speak at the live event in New York on April 3rd, but it was canceled. So they pulled together the virtual stuff, which is great. But I haven't done speaking to a live audience, not at a conference, like not at all, right? So I joined Toastmasters and I joined, like, paid money. I did one speech, and I think after that, the quarantining hit. So we couldn't meet in person, but we were meeting on Zoom. So I did a few Zoom meetings. I was actually Toastmaster one time. I did a speech once, but the thing that I realized is I am not afraid to do this because it's just the camera. And even if there were 200 people or, honestly, if there were 2,000 people, like, it would also be fine. So I've done a couple fairly big live streams with, I think, just under 200 people. And it's fine. It's actually about the same as this. The chat moves a little faster. It's nice to have a producer to help you out with that stuff. But yeah, live streaming, that's what I did for a long time because people are patient. You don't have to edit. You can just do your presentation, talk. It's a little more casual. Again, people are patient. They know it's not going to be perfect. So anyway, if you can start live streaming, then yeah, you can handle stuff. And I bet you were a little stressed out, Amelia. Aman says, to what extent does speed of a website matter? So you get, the user experience. Basically, people are not going to wait for your website to load. So I would say it's pretty high in that regard. So if it's really slow, people are not going to wait. They're not going to go to your site. It's going to hurt the rankings from a click-through rate perspective. Additionally, Google does look at the page speed, but you could look at data and find studies out there where slow, poor sites with a poor sites with a poor speed may still rank well because the content's good. People wait around. So, you'll find different examples, but really, you should work on having a quick site. All right. Kirk says, you have a quick question. You found your channel recently, so you're not sure if I have a video. Do I have any tips for picking a niche in 2020? You're really struggling to choose one. All right, great question. I think that'll be the last big one. So if people have other questions, feel free to type them in, and then I'll get to them, of course. But hopefully they'll be shorter questions. So Kirk, no, there is not. Actually, I don't even have a video, I don't think, on choosing a niche. Maybe I do, but it's probably old. Generally, it'll probably still apply in a lot of ways. But for 2020, what I would recommend in moving forward, try to find something, number one, where there are physical products usually Amazon will be a decent affiliate for that. Amazon's still great, even though the commission rate is lower, because they have so many products and then they convert so well at a high volume. But you might find the product that, the industry that you choose may have some products on Amazon, but maybe there's another great provider that has more expertise in that specific area. So an example that I've used recently is like B&H Camera out of New York. They have a lot of high-tech gear, a lot of, photo and video stuff. So they have cameras, and like the one that I have right there, which I can't remember where I got it from. Did I get it from B&H? No, last one I got from B&H. But if it's sort of a specialized product, some people may prefer to order from B&H rather than Amazon, even if it's a few bucks more sometimes, depending on what it is. So physical products, great. Make sure that there's a lot of informational topics, which typically, if there are physical products, there will be corresponding informational content, keywords. So you would have maybe how-to kind of articles, maybe just sort of informational that are not how-to. And then the other area to look for, Kirk, is digital products. Are there courses? Are there pieces of software that people buy? So for the camera example, it's easy, right? There's courses on videography, shooting video, vlogging, doing a YouTube channel. There's photography courses for portraits, wildlife, landscapes, astrophotography, blah, blah, blah. There's also software. So you can do photo editing in various ways. There's other sort of hosting sort of things that you may get into as far as like backing up photos, stuff like that. Plus all the products. You can go from laptops and computer related photo and video gear to the actual cameras and lenses, and then tripods, and I'm just looking at cables. I have an external battery hooked up, and I actually just bought a backpack that has like a camera. It's like one of those laptop backpacks, and you can put a camera in there. It'll hold the whole deal, because I realized I had, a backpack that was fine for going on a hike. It was like a 30 liter, 35 liter, something like that, going on a hike. And it was great for travel, but I was trying to put in like my camera bag inside it, and like it just doesn't fit. It's bulky. It's too much. So I have like a nice, I just got it like in the last couple of weeks for this trip. So anyway, the whole point, Kirk, if you can find physical products and then digital products, that's great. And the last piece of the puzzle is to have an interest in that topic. So a lot of people will say, hey, don't worry about it, just find whatever. You can do it if you find some topic that you don't care about. But if you do care about it, it makes it a lot easier when things are going slower than you expect, when you get frustrated. At least you're interested in the products. So if I created a new site, maybe I would do, camera gear, because I like camera gear. I just mentioned all the different benefits, but at the end of the day, like even if I didn't have the site, I'm still interested in all the products and stuff. So you don't have to be like totally obsessed. If you are, great. If you have a general interest, that's good too. But yeah, you'll be able to stick with it, and you'll probably work a little harder on it if you are intrinsically interested in it. Okay. Oh, Marty's on. What's going on? Marty should be around, I think, for the meetup. It could be a small, tight crew, which I think it's going to be so hot and so humid out there. We'll see how long we can hold up. All right. And last question. Shivam says, does the KGR still work? Yep. Go check out the last several videos, the success story videos on this channel, and you'll see there's a bunch from like in the last couple months. People are like, yeah, it's working. KGR was really great. All right, Jack says, it's 2 a.m. in Thailand. Great presentation for Ezoic. Well done. All attended. And, you attended all, and mine was the best. Oh, thanks. I need to get feedback to see if they have any for me, because I didn't get much. WebMoney says I run niche sites from Italy. What would be the best way to pay tax and go legal? Should I register for a foreign LLC in the US? So I have no idea. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I mean, you should have been, well, I think it's whatever your country is, but consult a tax professional. But if you're not paying taxes because you don't live in the U, I would not fucking pay taxes in the US if you don't have to. But I don't know anything about it. I pay a lot of taxes. I think I pay more taxes now than I made earlier in my career. So there's a lot of taxes to pay. All right. I think we're good. We're done for the day. So quick couple of notes. I'll just wrap it up. If you're in Atlanta, check out the meetup info. There's a link in the description. If you are stuck with your site, if you're like, hey, I'm not sure what to do, answer the survey questions. There's a link in there. Just curious what's going on with folks. And we have talked about Ezoic a few times. Definitely check out their site speed accelerator if you have not already. A few people are asking about speed. You should have a fast loading site. You should have a minimal number of plugins. But if you're still not seeing the performance that you want, the site speed accelerator is a great way to take care of that problem. I do recommend that you hook your site up via the name servers. So use their DNS, and it gives you the ability to use their caching, their CDN, content delivery network, and it will speed things up more. It will be on top of your CMS, right? So it'll run a little faster. It'll run more efficiently because it's not running through like a plugin. There is a WordPress plugin for the site speed accelerator, but I advise you to use the name server and DNS. Oh, a handful more questions came in. All right, we'll do it real quick here. All right, Shivam says how to rank a service-related site where there is no content. Figure out how to put content on there. Or if you're like, hey, I'm not going to do content in the written word, do video, do podcast. Like, I don't know how you're going to rank a site with no content. So if you can figure it out, let me know, because I don't think that's the thing. Then we have, we got a telemarketer trying to call me. And it's just, it says telemarketer. So hopefully those are going to go away. I hate all the rando calls I get nowadays. Mike says, do I think Amazon will rebound and increase the commissions? I doubt it. I imagine probably not. Okay, Tushar says this. Using discovery ads on videos which show on side gives snowball effect for much better views. I'm not sure what that means. Let me read that again. Using discovery ads on videos which show on side. Oh, which shows on the side gives us okay. That's what I have been doing, Tushar. I have been trying the discovery ads because I don't really have anything that's really suited for a pre-roll ad. And by the way, I generally hate to see the pre-roll ads, me personally. But this stuff on the side, I'm like, if it fits, then I'll take a look at it. So I'll see how it goes, Tushar. Thank you. All right, David. See you later. Jack, see ya. Thanks, WebMoney. Yeah, Tony says they're calling about the out-of-date car warranty. That's pretty funny. Shivam says Ezoic versus Cloudflare, which provide a fast CDN. So I don't know. I haven't tested them specifically, but pretty sure Ezoic uses Cloudflare. So it's the same thing. It's equivalent. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. They're both fast. Okay. That is it. We'll catch everybody next time. Have a great weekend.